Hi, good morning everybody. Welcome to Low Carb in the Leaves. I'm Dr. Mary Barson from Real Life Medicine. This week in Low Carb in the Leaves, we've been talking about control. We started off talking about the circle of control. All the things in our lives over which we have direct control. The only things through which we have direct control are our choices and our actions. And then everybody else's choices and actions, everybody else in our lives, all the people we interact with, their choices and actions make up that circle of influence. We influence them, they influence us. But right in the core, we've got our circle of control, and around it, our circle of influence. And we want to be able to exert our control on our choices and actions so that we can expand that circle of control, be empowered and make the choices that we want, and not let other people in our sphere of influence, that circle of influence, shrink down our control. Today I'm going to take a slightly different tact and talk about control of hunger, which is incredibly important if you want to lose weight. Hunger is an incredibly important topic. I say control of hunger, but really that's a misnomer. We don't really have control of our hunger. Good morning, everyone. I see you there. Hunger is an innate survival mechanism. We don't really have control of our hunger, just like we don't really have control over the need to cough or the need to blink or the need to breathe. Hunger is innate. However, you can tame your hunger through the choices you make. And the most powerful way you can tame your hunger is by choosing quality food. It really is about quality and not so much the quantity. We'll get back to that. So a standard Australian diet, a standard, American diet, the normal high carb diet stimulates hunger. It's a high carb diet. The high carbohydrates ramp up your insulin over time. It causes insulin resistance over time. It causes leptin resistance. We've discussed leptin many times. Leptin is our satiety or feeling full hormone. Basically, a standard Australian diet, standard American diet, standard Western diet stuffs up your normal hunger and satiety signals. And I'm sure that you guys have all experienced this in the past. I know I have. So, in the past, this is me a few years ago, I had polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is in many ways a disorder of high insulin and severe insulin resistance. I had problems with weight gain my whole life. I was a super busy doctor, really, really focused on learning what I had to for my exams, learning the skills that I needed for the patients right in front of me. I didn't know much about nutrition, I wasn't taught much about nutrition, and I wasn't really focused on nutrition. I had seen dietitians about my polycystic ovarian syndrome, and I was told to eat my whole grains, snack regularly, you'll be fine. So I ate my whole grains and I snacked regularly, and I wasn't fine. But I assumed that this was some innate failing within me, that the advice was fine, I was the one who was wrong. And so every now and again, in an attempt to kind of gain control of my weight, gain control of my health, I would go on a really calorie-restricted, low-fat diet for a while, and I would be hungry and cold and miserable, but I could just white-knuckle my way through the hunger. And back then, I hadn't damaged my metabolism all that much. Yo-yo dieting is a great way to damage your metabolism. But back then, my metabolism wasn't all that damaged, and it would work. I would lose weight, but I could not control my hunger like that for long. It's not possible. It's not sustainable. In the long run, hunger will always win, just like you're trying to hold back that cough because you're in the cinema and you don't want to like be coughing and spluttering. Yep, no, you can't. The cough will come, the hunger will win. It's an innate survival mechanism. You can't outdo it. And then I'd just go back to my whole grains and snacking and would gain weight again and feel like a failure, punctuated by times of really violent sugar addiction as well, where I would just get in these horrible negative feedback loops of eating far too much ice cream and craving the sugar and getting high insulin and craving more sugar. Really, really horrible. And so that was me. That was what I was doing. Until I stumbled upon low carb really by accident, when I was a very busy palliative care registrar, really focused on learning palliative medicine, incredibly important, caring for dying people. Again, nutrition really wasn't the forefront of my mind. I hated that I was overweight. I hated that I couldn't control it, but I was focusing on being the best palliative medicine doctor I could be. And my colleagues in palliative medicine did a paleo challenge, paleo food challenge, which I knew nothing about. And I just decided to go along because I liked them and I thought I'd give it a crack. And this was a particularly low carb paleo diet. So it was a real food low carb. First time I gave it a go. And it was horribly hard to begin with that transition phase. But I kept going because I had that wonderful community around me. And then something truly miraculous happened. To me, it was miraculous anyway. After a couple of weeks of eating this way, I didn't feel hungry. I remember, came home from work and it was dinner time. My partner asked, do you want some dinner? I was like, I don't know. I'm not hungry. And it was unbelievable. I had never experienced that in all of my living memory. I wasn't hungry. I had somehow tamed my hunger. And of course, this was nothing to do with supreme self-control or anything amazing that I was doing, or that amazing sort of control over my mind. It was the food that I was eating had calmed down my hormones. It had normalized my insulin and my leptin and all of these internal processes. So just the normal hunger and satiety signals came online. And as it turned out, I didn't eat any food that night and I wasn't hungry. And I went to bed without dinner, and it was an incredible, memorable moment of my life. So I tamed hunger by choosing real food, low carb, real food. And you can all do this too. The other wonderful thing that low carb, real food does is it makes possible this other wonderful, healthy, therapeutic intervention, which is intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is a fantastic way to lower your insulin, to really break through insulin resistance, to bust through weight loss plateaus. It's healthy on so many levels. And it's easy, amazingly easy. When you eat low carb real food, when you're fat adapted, your hormones are healing and your hunger is tamed. Anybody can fast. Someone who's eating a standard Australian diet of wheat bix for breakfast, sandwiches for lunch, pasta for dinner, even if they're, not unhealthy or not overweight, they could fast, but they would struggle. They really would struggle without that fat adaptation. And it probably would be pretty difficult. They'd probably be experiencing extraordinary amounts of hunger. But when you're fat adapted, the hunger's not that bad. So we can control our choices. We can exert control on that circle of control, and we can choose to eat low carb real food. And we can, and then when we do that, it normalizes all of these wonderful internal processes which tames our hunger that we can't directly control. And with lovely tamed hunger, weight loss without hunger just happens. Intermittent fasting and all those wonderful benefits are much easier. And what it is It's food freedom. That first night when I went home and I didn't eat dinner that night, that was the first time I had experienced freedom from food, freedom from that horrible hunger, freedom from that guilt, freedom from that obsessing about food. I was free. So if you choose low carb, real food, you will have food freedom. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Big love to all, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.